We used to sell albums and CDs and things, and that's gone. I mean, it was a huge part of our income. It was a huge part of our marketing and our promotion, and it's gone. It's just literally gone.
Glad to have you. I'm Carter Semino, host of Acadiana Cast Presents. If you want to make podcasts like this one, other types of digital content like social media reels, online courses, live streams, you name it, go to acadianacast.com to get your voice heard today. Start your digital content journey with us over at Acadiana Casts. Today's episode is sponsored by Love of People nonprofit. You can see all the diapers behind me for the 10th annual Williams Bros Diaper Drive. Later on in the episode, we'll chat with our friend John Williams about an upcoming Blue Monday Jam, of which our guest today is featured in. Louisiana Music Hall of Famer Gregg Martinez. Good conversation. Man's seen it and done it all. I was excited to talk to him and kind of pick his brain from a musician standpoint. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Let's get to it. So you graduated from Turlings?
How'd you know that?
Your bio on your website.
Yeah.
I've done my research.
Oh, all right.
I'm a former journalist.
Yeah. Turlings Catholic, yeah.
What year?
I had my 50 year last year, so
Wow.
1974.
What was it? What was Turlings like back then?
Small.
Small.
We had 59 seniors.
Okay. Co-ed still?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was always co-ed.
It was always co-ed?
I wouldn't have gone if it wasn't.
Yeah. I only asked because in Covington I went to St. Paul's all-guy Catholic
Well,
school.
9th and 10th, I was in an all boys. So
Okay. What was that?
St. Francis Seminary, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Wow. So is that where you're from originally, or?
No, I'm from here.
So why'd you go to school in Cincinnati, Ohio?
Well, it's a long story, but I was 1,000 miles away from home, and Mom and Daddy couldn't do too much to me back if I was that far away, because I was kind of bad.
Okay.
But they kicked me out after 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, right when you started puberty, just started causing a...
Well, 8th grade, it kind of hit me, but yeah. My mom wanted a priest really bad. So she didn't get one, but now the new pope's our cousin. So
there you go. Yeah, he's got ties to
that's the story.
to the New Orleans area.
Sticking to it, yeah. And his mama was a Martinez, so
Okay.
yeah. So I got people doing some research to see if there's a connection somewhere.
So Gregg Martinez, obviously when you first see the name, you think Martinez.
Yes.
Where does the name, the pronunciation change come in?
I think it's the Cajun way of saying it.
Okay.
My great grandfather, I think it was Sebastian Martinez, came from Spain and went up Bayou Lafourche and settled in the Cajun country. And anyway, so I actually have Spanish on both sides because my grandmother on my mother's side was a Domang. And there are some that say Domang was Dominguez and they dropped the Z
Right.
somewhere along the line.
Well, I remember like the first time I ever saw the name Semino outside of just my family, it was Mark Semino played linebacker for the New Orleans Saints,
Right.
but he had no X. And that was the first time I
Right.
saw that. And then, years later, there's been mixed tellings of what happened, but I guess when my ancestors came here, there was no X. And then the X started being used when they got down to South Louisiana to delineate that maybe they were of a different, they weren't born here in Louisiana. Maybe it's a Creole thing. I'm not sure.
I heard that
Or they're illiterate.
whoever was the Catholic priest in the town is the one that wrote the names down, and because he might have been the only one that could read and write in English.
Right, because those are the only people who really
They were super
literate.
educated.
Yeah.
And so he like the name Bro. There's several different ways to spell it, and it was all because of the priest that spelled it at the time. That's what I've heard. So
That it tracks for me.
who knows? Yeah.
So, growing up here in Lafayette, was there like a corner store where you had to go get some food? Like, what was like?
I lived on a farm on Butcher Switch Road
Okay.
between Carencro and Lafayette. So the schools and church, everything was in Carencro. So we weren't close to anything. I could ride my bike to a store or something, but we weren't walking distance for sure.
What was what was the first local musician or band that you remember? I remember really digging.
Probably our school dances at Turlings, because I wanted to do live music so bad. So anytime I had an opportunity to hear live music, there was a band called We the People Boy, I thought they were the cat's meow. And I lived my parents were very, I was very sheltered. I wasn't allowed to go to Signorelli's like everybody else was on the weekends, because I think they'd let anybody in if you were 16 or, of course, the drinking age was 18 back then. So, but anyway, I never was allowed to go see those guys over there. And when I did discover them later, they blew me away. But in high school, it was the bands that played like at the proms, and there was a band called Isosceles Popsicle.
So,
kind of like that name.
that sounds like a progressive rock band name.
Yeah, yeah.
But back then, so what was the style of music? Was it like swamp pop? Kind of
Oh no, it was top 40.
Okay, top.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, Doobie Brothers or whatever was popular at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
okay. When did
The people did a lot of Chicago because they had horns and things like that. So
when did you kind of start falling in love with that swamp pop sound?
well, I about a year ago. No, I'm kidding. I started out just playing acoustic guitar. I
Yeah.
learned to play that in the 9th grade up there in Cincinnati, and so I just played and sang, and that stuff was really popular back then. James Taylor and all that kind of thing. And then in high school, two things happened. In the 9th grade, they had a talent show in the spring at the seminary, and they have all these friars that would come from Detroit and Dayton and all that. They would come for this thing, and I won it my freshman year.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I was popular the next day. So okay, I decided to go back the next year, but anyway, it's too long a story to tell you what happened. But anyway, they kicked me out after 10th grade, and I didn't do anything bad. I was just a boy, I was just a normal red-blooded American boy. And anyway, I came to Turlings, and then the spring of my junior year, I sang in front of the whole school for it was some kind of thing for the speech team, which I was a part of.
Interesting.
And anyway, that day changed my life too. I mean, it was one of those paradigm moments. I decided, because I was popular the next day. I had a prom date like a week later, and I said, all right, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But I just played acoustic guitar and sang. And then after that, John Denver came on the scene, and he was huge.
Right.
And I would play everybody's wedding. Brother Abdallah, everybody, Richard Zuschlag. I sang his wedding and his funeral. I sang his funeral last year.
Wow.
And but everybody wanted John Denver songs, and I could do that. So, but I was my voice was getting big and getting bigger and bigger, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to have a band and be a band leader. So after that, I formed a little trio, and I would do like 6 nights a week at different lounges and things, which wasn't what I should have done. But anyway, that's what I did. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And eventually, I heard the guys that really impacted me was T.K. Hewland and Gigi Shin, and they were doing R&B. Swamp pop to me back then was old people's music.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Allen was my principal in 7th and 8th grade, assistant principal at Acadian Elementary, which is Acadian Middle now on Mall Street, and he was a science teacher. He was a very good teacher, and he paddled me. He used to whoop my butt with that paddle quite a few times. And my mom taught at the school, so I couldn't get away with anything.
Oh, yeah, no.
I was.
You were a target.
Yeah. So Johnny's got a good story he could tell you about the time I told a teacher to go to hell. And, and then she went and told him, and I had to, it was, yeah. I was just trying to be cool in front of my friends,
Right.
And but anyway.
Well, I love that you had this kind of cataclysmic moment whenever you performed in front of the school and in front of your and then it just kind of clicked like, oh, this is what I'm kind of meant to do.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So you just kind of chased that high for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but I was a late bloomer, I guess you would say. I evolved. It took me a while to find. I was very versatile. I could sing anything. Mm-hmm. And heck, I was in a production at UL Showboat. I was part of that production. I did, and I could do the acoustic guitar thing. Then I started doing like a Tom Jones thing with the 3-piece thing, and but I wanted to be a band leader, and so it took me a few years to get to that. And then after that, I never stopped doing that. So
wow,
I wanted to be TK and Gigi,
Do you? I assume some of your songs have been on like K-Bon and
oh yeah.
What was the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
It wasn't here. It was I'm not sure where. It was in Texas, I think. I was living in Texas, and there were some stations that played me over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything? What would you say in all these different places you live? Because I know you like we talked about beforehand. You lived on the North Shore for a little bit, but also that's recent. But you also lived in Cincinnati, Texas.
I lived in Atlantic City, New
Atlantic
Jersey
City
for 4 years. Yes.
Now that I've got some questions about Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Vegas of the East.
Yeah. I lived in Nashville for a short time.
But so of all these different places, what is it about Louisiana that you often find yourself missing the most? Is it people, food?
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but me particularly, I am a Southerner.
Yeah.
And wherever I've been, I've never fit in unless I was here. Greg Allman had the same problem. He was married to Cher, living in L.A., and the marriage broke up because he needed to get back south. And I totally get that because I was living in New Jersey for 4 years. Nothing against New Jersey people, but I just didn't fit in. I have to have a sense of place. I've always been that way. And I didn't realize that until, I don't know, sometime later, maybe late 20s, 30s or whatever. But I moved to Texas and I was there 16 years. And again, I just didn't fit in. And I came back home in 06 and I've been back ever since. I mean, I went to New Orleans for a little while, then I went to the North Shore, but I still had that sense of place,
What can you tell folks about the grind of, having, I guess, a residency in Atlantic City or playing in the French Quarter every single night?
Never did the French Quarter, but I have friends that do. And boy,
right. I know our mutual friend Steve Adams.
Well, Steve was one of Shelton Sawney and still does it. Shelton plays guitar with Doopsie Jr., and he used to play with me too. And he does, but when he's not with Doopsie, he does the Bourbon Street thing. Heck, I don't know. He'll play. You can play as long as you want, but it's like 6-8 hours. I don't know. I mean, it's like forever.
It's a grind.
They start in the afternoon, and anyway, I've never done that, but I did the house band thing for a long time.
Yeah, my uncle did the piano bar stuff for years.
Yeah, I mean, I did the Driftwood Lounge here, and I was like 22 years old, and everybody was in their 40s. I thought they were old, I was a kid, and then I would go from there across the highway to Lafayette, and I would go to the Hello Texas Club, 1981. I was there like a year and a half every night, doing house band things, and then I branched out and started doing one-nighters and things like that, or 3 or 4 nights here, that kind of thing. But then when I went to Atlantic City, it was 6 nights a week, and you'd play 6 weeks at a time. And then you'd come back in about 12 weeks. I would do like 24 weeks a year, I think, something like that in Atlantic City at Donald Trump's casino.
Wow.
So
you worked for the president.
Yeah. His wife was, she wrote me a note the first time she heard me sing.
Wow.
I was at the casino. I don't know who she was. She was sitting in the table by herself, well-dressed in front of me. I didn't know anything. I was country come to town. When I got there, I thought Trump had something to do with a Trump card. It had something to do with gambling. I didn't know there was a guy named Trump. And then when I get there, everything's Trump, billboards, all this stuff. And then, so I said, all right. So, like I said, the first night or second night, his wife, Ivana, his first wife, was sitting right in front of me, and she's clapping at everything I did. And she's writing on a piece of paper. And anyway, a waitress gave it to me after the show. She said, here's a note from Mrs. Trump. She heard you, and it said, enjoyed the music, great job, Ivana Trump. I still have it in a photo album somewhere.
Wow.
And the next day, my agent.
So you're locked into that gig for a while after that, then.
My agent called me the next day in Orlando. My agency was in Orlando, and they called and said, Ivana Trump saw your show last night. I said, yeah, I got a note from her. They said, well, they want you to sign an exclusive agreement. I said, is that good? Yes, go sign it. So I went up to the entertainment offices, and it was an exclusive contract that I couldn't appear in any other casinos in Atlantic City unless it was a Trump property. Mm-hmm. So I did that for like 4 years, but I was homesick.
Sure.
Because I relocated up there after maybe a year, and so.
I tell you what, I've played a couple casino gigs, like La Berge and Lake Charles, and little things like that, Cypress Bayou. And no shame on people who like to gamble. I like to do a little sports gambling. It makes the games a little more interesting. But I've never been a big blackjack or a slot machine guy or anything like that. And man, some of those times you go into those casinos and it just kind of breaks your heart seeing somebody with some old lady with an oxygen machine next to the slot machine, putting the rest of her Social Security into the thing. And they're not the most glamorous gigs is really what I'm getting at.
And that's in gambling. That's the only bad habit I'd say I never got. So I mean, I used to have to advance my guys' money because they'd lose all their money and they didn't have any money before payday, and I'd have to give them some money and stuff. But I never got into the gambling part of it.
How far is the drive, or is it you take a train from Atlantic City to New York City?
Oh, it's a train ride, a couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that.
Did that a couple times?
Yeah.
Did you ever play in New York City?
No, I sat in with Patti LaBelle on Broadway.
Wow.
Back in 1986, I think. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I wound up signing a recording thing with people that were involved in her career, and they had the sound of Philadelphia, which was what Motown was in the 60s. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia sound was in the 70s. The OJs, the Spinners,
Hall & Oates,
Teddy Pendergrass. Well, Hall & Oates weren't signed with the same label.
Okay.
But anyway, all those guys, I was involved with them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you define the Philadelphia sound of that?
It was a sophisticated, a lot of strings and stuff. It was, Teddy Penn. If you don't know me by now, classic sound of Philadelphia song, and heavy on the strings, and always the singers were always. My producer Keith Benson, he was the drummer for Teddy Pendergrass, and all those sessions. He has platinum records all over the walls in his house. Now he's like a professor, whatever you call it, at Harvard. And he looks like Fat Albert on the cartoons. But this guy was brilliant. And anyway, he talked me into signing with them. And he said the weakest singer that they had at the Philadelphia studio was Lou Rawls. And Lou Rawls was a good singer. So for him to be the weakest of them, they had some really good singers. So to be involved in that group was a huge compliment for me.
I imagine.
So,
so like I was saying, I play just solo little acoustic gigs. There's a singer songwriter out of Key West named Michael McLeod who has this line. It's from a song called "Tourist Town Bar," where he says, "I'm just an alcohol-powered jukebox here in this tourist town bar."
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and I can relate to that because I'll have a couple beers. And I'm just playing background.
Music, background music.
Can you? I saw a clip of some podcast recently. Maybe someone answering this, but I'd love to get your opinion on it. Can you tell folks the difference between a gig and a show?
It's in your mind. A gig is a job. It's, it used to be a music gig. Now everybody uses the term. Oh yeah, I got a day gig. I got a lawyer gig.
Right.
But it used to be for a music term. And to me, a show, it's in your mind. I'm a big believer in presentation, and I think big. I think big. I go for the gusto. I go for big events. I may not get them, but I go for them, and that's the way I think. So
that's interesting. My mom has a similar philosophy in doing this wedding band, party band type thing for years growing up with them. She would always try to tell me and my dad remind us that a lot of times people aren't as musically tuned in as we are as musicians, and you have to understand that oftentimes people hear with their eyes.
Yeah.
So this presentation, it's no shade on these guys, but bands like the Bag of Donuts, they have these big presentations and whatnot. They're not really playing the most intricate type things, and they probably tell you that as well.
Right.
But they put on a show.
Yes.
And you kind of align with kind of
it's all about the presentation. MTV changed everything to me because we were in the 80s. I was still in our 20s, and we watched it all day long because we played music every night, and we get up and just watch MTV videos, and it changed. It made everything visual. I don't know what's happened because to me, I mean, I don't want to be derogatory, but some of the artists today, especially in the new country, I don't get it. But it's you couldn't have gotten away with that in the 80s. You wouldn't have been on MTV.
Do you remember a band or a video that like really caught you like, whoa, what is this?
Back then,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you a huge moment for me was Live Aid.
Okay.
We were in Atlanta, Georgia, and Live Aid was being broadcast live. And my keyboard player had a VCR, and he was recording the whole thing. But we were watching it in our hotel. I think we were all in one hotel room. We had more rooms, but we were all watching it together. And it was really good. Dire Straits came on, and I wasn't into that at all. But they did Sultans of Swing, and they blew me away. I said, wow, look at this. These guys are like, they had the stage presence, and it was in the presentation, and they broke it down, they slowed it down, they had a sax solo, they picked it back up. It was just, but after that, Queen came on. I was not a Queen fan. I was into R&B. I wasn't into rock and roll. But the rock and roll that day, it was the presentation. He came out and he owned it. Freddie Mercury if you look up today, Google greatest live rock performances of all time, it's always Queen at Live Aid is always number one.
Yeah, it leads all the lists.
It blew me away, and it was like 20 minutes, and he just owned it. It was like 100,000 people, and he had them in the palm of his hand, and the music. The guy could sing, and so anyway, that was huge, and I've used that as fuel through my career. I think big. I think along those lines. I think about presentation. I don't have that kind of. I'm not as flamboyant as Freddie Mercury was. Gigi Shen was.
Sure.
I called him the Freddie Mercury of Blue Eyed Soul. But anyway.
So I imagine, maybe this is changing the older you get, but how often do you have like an iPad up there with the lyrics? I imagine you tried to stay away from that.
I'm old school.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I do a duo with my son. I started playing acoustic guitar a few years ago. I kind of got the envie, like they say, and I bought a guitar from Gigi because he had invited me to his house in Monroe to give me his trumpet because he had COPD and he couldn't play it anymore, and he gave it to me, which is like a holy grail. And there was an acoustic guitar in the case. So I said, what is this? He said, somebody, he had that high voice. Somebody owed me some money, and they gave me this guitar. I'm selling it. So I opened it up and I looked at it, and it was like my dream guitar from high school, and it was a 1974 Guild. I looked up the serial number and all of that. So I started playing again, and then my son, who was pretty young back then, he could play, and we started doing a duo, and so I started doing that again, and in fact, we're playing this Saturday because he moved to New Mexico and he works offshore. But he goes back offshore Monday, so he's going to come stay with me Saturday, and we're going to play at Buck and Johnny's in Breaux Bridge.
Oh, nice.
Saturday night.
So not the Zydeco brunch.
No, the Saturday night, 6:30.
Yeah, they're really great to their musicians here. Great folks over there at Buck and Johnny's. We'll be right back to the conversation in just a little bit, but first, I want to hear from our friend John Williams with Love of People Nonprofit. John is a friend of the show. He's always welcome here at Acadiana Cast. Some might say he is the magic behind Acadiana Cast Presents, but that's neither here nor there, folks. What we're talking about is the Blue Monday Jam coming up on June the 9th, and this is a special one. John, real quick, just remind folks who maybe this is the first time seeing this what Blue Monday is.
Blue Monday is a very special event for our whole community. We're approaching our 10th year, and what we do is we use the event to raise awareness for the needs of aging retired musicians and artists throughout Acadiana. Understanding that these people dedicated their lives to our culture through their music. When they get older, they're not able to play as much, and we like to make sure that they have some of those basic care needs in order to keep living a good life. Yeah,
and the Blue Monday Jam is one of the ways that we do that. Been having it at the Grouse Room, beautiful downtown Lafayette. From 6 to 9, you can check out some of the best music. $20 gets you in the door. You get a blue plate special, typically red beans, which is what else you can eat on a Monday in South Louisiana than some red beans. But this specific Blue Monday Jam on June 9th it's a special little twist to it. Tell the folks about it.
We had a wonderful honor working with Joel Savoy and Valcourt Records, and we played a small role in the Clifton Chenier project. It's his 100-year birthday, and they produced this beautiful album with so many talented artists involved. And this has been great to be a part of that project. But Joel reached out and in order to assist Love of People in raising some money for Blue Monday mission, he's gifting us a signed copy of the vinyl record. And we're going to be auctioning that record off in hopes to raise some more money, and that way we continue our mission.
Yeah, that's what better way to do that. And of course, to honor Clifton as well, we're going to do our little part on the stage the best way we know how. And we'll have we don't want to give out the full lineup just yet.
Yeah, but some very special guests. I mean, Lee Alenzino, of course, he's one of the Blue Monday All-Stars, but he also is a very intricate bass player on the record itself. And I can't wait to really release all the guys that's coming to help us do this tribute to Clifton Chenier. And thank you for Valcourt Records and allowing us the opportunity to work with them.
Well, you can follow the Blue Monday concert series. It's a page on Facebook, kind of see when we're going to be playing all the time, not just on June 9th. A great page to follow. You can also go to loveofpeople.org to keep up with all the things happening with Love of People and the Blue Monday mission. John, anything else that you wanted to touch on before we end this little conversation?
Just, getting everybody to come back out to the Grouse Room every second Monday of the month. This June 9th is definitely going to be a very special show. We have different people coming in for the jam. And what better way than to celebrate your culture by participating?
All right. Well, that's enough from John. Let's get back to the real episode right now. Did you have any problem, or did you see people outside of Louisiana resonate with your music when you're on the road?
When I first got to Atlantic City, there was a guy named Freddie Empire.
Oh, that's a powerful name.
Well, that's not his real name.
Yeah.
But he was the top male singer in Atlantic City. And he played Vegas. He lived in Vegas.
Is it Kerner?
Oh, no.
Okay.
He was a black guy. He had the jerry curl, and he could dance, too. He was probably, I was late 20s. He was probably 40, maybe early 40s. And he could sing, man. And his band was always killer, and he did dance. And I saw him, and I was like, "What am I doing here?" This is what I'm. If they're all like this, I'm dead in the water.
Imposter syndrome.
But they weren't. He was the only one, and we became the two best lead singers in Atlantic City. Anyway, but he was something. We're still in touch. He lives in Vegas, and yeah.
So then, you started getting more comfortable. You feel like, oh, I kind of belong here.
Yeah. We were the only Southern band up there,
Mm-hmm.
and we were from Louisiana, and that Cajun culture was sweeping the country at the time.
Sure.
Justin Wilson was on PBS and all of that. I mean, the Cajun culture. Paul Prudhomme was getting famous, and well, we milked that for all we could. I mean, and we had personality. My drummer, Sean Falk. Do you know Sean?
Mm-mm.
He had personality, and he still does. I mean, just over the top, and they loved it, man. We went over like a flood. I mean, it was good. Yeah.
So, this will come out on Monday, and the following Monday will be our Blue Monday Jam, Love of People's Blue Monday Jam.
Right.
And it's not that you're going to be performing a few songs. Happy to have you. It's not your first time though on the Blue Monday stage, right?
I got inducted in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame 2019, I think, on the Saturday night, and I think the following Monday I was a guest with the Blue Monday.
Nice. Very cool. Well, what can you tell folks about the Blue Monday All-Stars? The Steve Adams, the Lee Alenzino, Lloyd Richard, Tony Goula.
Yeah, well, Steve and Tony played with me in my band, and Bill LeBlanc is my regular bass player, but if he can't make it, because Steve and everybody does different things.
Yeah.
Steve and Bill play with GTO. And so I'll get Lee Allen to play with me. And so, yeah, those guys are super musicians and great guys. I mean,
my favorite thing is watching them practice in here. And maybe there'll be a guest artist coming and they're wanting to do one of their favorite songs, and the band's never heard it. And they'll listen to it once, and then maybe they're kind of like diddling through it. And then Lee Allen go, all right, one more time. And they're like, all right, one more time, just this part. All right, got it. And then it's on the money.
Been doing it a long time. Tony's a monster player. I mean, yeah. And great songwriter. I've recorded some of his songs. We wrote a couple of them together. He's just a great singer too. Both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to see the up and coming artists, have like a backing band for the first time. Maybe they're used to you know, some of these people who come in, like they've maybe performed to backing tracks or maybe just a buddy of theirs who plays guitar, but never like a tight band like this. And it's cool to kind of see them come alive on stage when they have this support behind them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you speak to what it's like as a performer having a tight band behind you?
It just makes it so much easier, you know, when you don't have to worry about, are they going to mess this up, or are they going to screw this part up, or you know, it just gives you confidence, and it just takes all the pressure off if that band is, and it comes from playing together. You gotta, you know, you just gotta play.
And part of, you know, what's become of this Blue Monday mission is not just raising money to help aging musicians, you know, some of them to pay off some of their medical bills, you know, help them get stage time later in life, but also to help the next generation not make the same mistakes as some of these old cats who went on the road at an early age, didn't know anything about saving money or treating themselves like a business.
Right.
But and I know that's something you kind of align with. What is something advice you give to young artists in finding their proverbial their voice?
I would say take it more serious than I did. I didn't take it serious until later. I thought it was just a big party.
Sure.
And it was all about women and partying and all of that. And I didn't take it serious. And by the time I did, I mean, I took it a little more serious when I got to Atlantic City, but not. I had that record deal with those producers that had made stars out of Teddy Pendergrass and all those people, and I squandered that because I was too busy partying and I'd be on the road between the 6 weeks in Atlantic City. We'd be on the road. Usually we'd go down the East Coast to Florida and back. But they'd say, "Look, we need you to come in and record these songs." I said, "Well, I gotta play some music. You know, I gotta make a living. You know," and I just didn't take it serious until later. So take it. So you can moderation.
Sure.
Moderation and but you know, and write songs. You know. I didn't write anything until I don't know how old I was when I started writing songs. So write songs when you're young, and you know, take it serious. Now, don't take yourself so serious. I'm a very self-deprecating kind of guy, and people that are not self-deprecating, I don't have much use for them. But so I don't take myself that serious still. But you have to take your career somewhat seriously and apply yourself and work hard.
What's the biggest difference between coming up in the business then versus now?
Man, it's the internet for one thing is it's good and it's bad, but
right.
it's if you don't, back then you had to have a record label. You had to be I mean, even to record, there were only 3 places around here that you could record: Phil Platt, Crowley, and Lalu here in Lafayette, and that was it. Now you can record in your garage, you know,
sure,
in your living room. So and it can be good. It's because digital changed everything. And so when things went digital, it just made it easier to record. And now you got too many people recording.
Right. Yeah, because of that, there's a bigger pond.
So it's kind of oversaturated, but at the same time, it makes things a little more level. You know,
I feel like, but those who can, you know, grind it out and make it through, there's more autonomy than there was back then. Like people have more control over their product.
Right. But I say that it's never been a level playing field. You know, people say, "Why didn't you make it where, you know, I didn't achieve what I was supposed to achieve?" I'm an underachiever in some way. It depends how you look at things. You know, I've recorded 14, 15 albums, solo albums. I've been all over the world. You know, I've accomplished a few things, but in some people may look at it as I never got the hit record. I never got the big record label deal and all of that. But it never was a level playing field. It's not about, it's about luck. It's about timing. And I was one of those artists that slipped through the cracks, like they say. Part of it's my fault. I changed directions too many times and I squandered some opportunities, but you know.
Do you have any advice for artists when it comes to maybe dealing with music venues? Is there anything that you've learned about do's and don'ts when getting a show at a venue? And
man, I haven't done venues in so long I don't even remember. I just do festivals mostly now.
Okay.
I used to do casino shows until COVID, and they haven't like recovered from the COVID years.
So that's interesting. The whole festival scene in Gambit. How does that compare to getting a gig at a casino or at a theater or a venue or a smaller venue?
Festivals are, well, I like playing outdoors. I like, you don't have to bring anything. Everything's set up. Backline's usually provided. And you play early because I don't like the late nights anymore. And it took me a long time just to go to bed early when I got out of the nightlife. And so I like playing earlier. And usually the crowds are good at a festival. So yeah, the nightclubs, it's been so long I don't even know what to tell them.
So your most valuable instrument is this whole thing right here.
Yeah, I mean, I play trumpet in the band. I play guitar, acoustic. I play a little piano. I just got a baby grand piano a few months ago in my house.
Wow.
I got it in Mandeville.
Hey.
And anyway, I played piano and sang a song at Jazz Fest by myself just last month.
Wow.
So, yeah, my instrument is my voice. Yeah.
How do you protect it?
I take pretty good care of it. Some of my band members have said they've never met anyone take better care of their voice than I do.
Any advice?
No, but I never did. I didn't do that. I didn't do that when I was young.
Learning yourself.
I had surgery in 1984, so over 40 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I had polyps on my vocal cords, and it was from abuse, just hollering and screaming and every night and smoking, drinking, everything that goes along with the lifestyle. And I had lost it, Then I got it back, and I took better care of it after the surgery, but I was still smoking for a couple of years, and then finally I quit all that and had a spiritual awakening, and I walked away from all of it for a time. And I don't drink ice water. I drink room temperature water. I take better care of things. I warm up. I just and I'm singing it as well or better than I ever have. I can't even explain it.
Wow.
But I don't know. I try to take good care of it, but I've just been blessed.
Did you ever have any vocal lessons or anything growing up, or you just?
I had a little bit in high school at the seminary. The guy, Father Albert was his name, and he was an award-winning music guy. They had a glee club, and they would win awards and stuff. And so I learned from him some breathing techniques. And I didn't make the glee club my freshman year because I tried out and I didn't make it because my voice was changing. And I didn't have, my range was like 4 notes or something. Because he'd make you do the ma, 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 and keep going.
Right.
And I didn't have enough range to fit in one of the 4 voices categories. And anyway, but that spring I won that talent show. So when I went back for 10th grade, I didn't even have to try out.
Yeah.
And I got and I did all the solos.
That's awesome.
So that was yeah.
How do you like me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that was a game changer for me when I found out don't put ice in your water if you're trying to protect your voice.
Too hot or too cold is not good.
Mm-hmm.
No, we didn't care. We drank beer. We drank everything. And so I didn't drink any alcohol for 16 years, and then I came back, moved back to Louisiana. And Tony Gula and I, my band, we were playing at the Paragon in Marksville Casino, and after the gig, Tony got a beer and. Because Tony had done the same thing I did. He had a spiritual awakening and he walked away from it. But he said, it's okay to drink a couple of beers. So you don't have to drink 12 or 15. Really? You don't have to drink? Because we just drank till we passed out. And so I said, okay. So I began to drink again in moderation. And so makes a huge difference,
Right.
But I don't drink any alcohol until the gig's over.
There you go. You have a celebratory drink.
Yeah.
Me and my parents have this after we have a gig. I will go back to their house and have a glass of wine or a glass of whiskey, and we kind of debrief.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of ritual like that after a gig?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I just chill out. Yeah.
Well, yeah. We always just kind of talk about like what went right, what went wrong. About the gig and.
Yeah. Well, no. I don't do that. We used to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. In the 80s, we would critique our recording the band. Started doing that in the 80s, and it was like, ooh, that's me. That's what I sing like. I hated it. But then you start fixing what you didn't like, and then you record again, and like, okay, that's better, but then you find something else. When you get to the point where you like what you hear, you're doing all right. You know, you're getting there.
When you don't hate yourself, that's
Right.
that's nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you love playing outside. Yeah, we are in South Louisiana. Do you have any tips for dealing with the heat?
Hydrate. Yeah, I never had a problem with it though.
You have your fans on stage, anything like that?
Oh no, the drummer they always do, but I never.
They all the fans.
Yeah, but I seldom do. Now, another thing about the outdoor the festival is you're playing 2 hours max. You know, maybe 90 minutes, maybe an hour. Jazz Fest is an hour. You know, so I mean, I got a lot of energy for an hour, but I don't have that much. You know, for 3 hours. You know.
Is there a discernible difference between Southwest Louisiana crowds and more New Orleans area crowds?
As far as the style of music that they like,
okay,
yeah, I would say that the people are the same basically, but New Orleans has New Orleans music, and over here we have mostly the Cajun Zydeco, so that's the difference.
Is it dancing?
Oh yeah. But for instance, if you say what is the number one instrument of Southwest Louisiana, what would you say? An accordion, probably.
Sure.
New Orleans is going to be a trombone,
yeah,
trumpet, you know, which is more my end of my musical style. So it's a different style of music, but the people are the same.
I'll tell you what, you find a tight group of a trombone, trumpet, and a saxophone player.
That's what we got.
Power horn section.
That's what I got. Trombone, trumpet, and tenor sax. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
What is the next generation of Louisiana artists need from us, the community?
Support.
In what way? Is there just one little extra step that we can take or do in our own lives?
We used to sell product. We used to sell albums and CDs and things, and that's gone. I mean, that was a huge part of our income. It was a huge part of our marketing and our promotion, and it's gone. It's just literally gone. And we keep on recording because you have to keep new music out there to keep your career going. And but it's more money out of your pocket, and you're not getting it back. But so people need to realize that and support the musicians any way they can. If you can buy the products buy the streaming thing, and you're gonna get $1 a year from the artist is gonna get something ridiculous.
Right.
But go see the shows. Support them live when they play. And New Orleans is famous for it too. All of those little clubs on what's that street? Frenchman Street, and of course you got Bourbon and all that. There's no cover charge because people don't want to pay a cover. They can go here for free, and they go here so it's all free. And it's like that here too for the most part. And if somebody has to pay, they're like, oh my God, we got to pay.
I know.
Why are we going to pay if to hear them here? We can hear them at a festival next week for free.
Right.
And so people are spoiled over here, and a lot of times you have some of the same artists that play a lot of the festivals and a lot of the clubs, and so they're not going to pay to see them when they can go see them for free and a week later. So support them live. Pay that little cover charge, man.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah,
and
the joy that these people bring to your life. And for some of us, we've brought tried to bring this joy for decades, and
there's something about also just seeing a great band in a more intimate venue that if I could pay a few bucks to do it, sure, like supporting the artist, but it's something about that kind of enclosed venue, like a Grouse Room, for example.
Yeah.
I saw at Festival International a couple years ago, the Sunday got rained out. And the Wailers were supposed to close the show. So what they did instead is they played a gig, which they ended up charging a cover charge, which people were like, we're going to see it for free anyway at festival, you're going to charge, but whatever, neither here nor there. They closed out festival, quote unquote, but at the Grouse Room, and it was phenomenal. And the place was packed, and just great vibes, awesome music. Those guys are a tight band.
I bet. I mentioned Tom Jones earlier. When he came out, he had a TV show when I was in the 8th grade, and I said, "Oh my goodness, this is what I'm gonna do. I want to have a big voice like that and wear tight pants and have women screaming." And my dad was like, "Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me." And but anyway, Tom Jones is going to be 85 next month. and he just played in New Orleans at the Sanger.
Right.
And some friends of mine went. My cousin Sarah went, and some classmates of mine went. And he can't even move anymore. He shuffles his feet because he had a couple of hip surgeries, and he just stands there. And he doesn't need the money. He's worth $500 million. I read that like he was second to Paul McCartney in the UK.
Wow.
As far as for earnings and all. So why is he still doing it? Because you know, the joy that he's brought for so many decades, and he still loves it. He's doing it for the love, not for the money. The Sanger can't pay enough compared to what he would have made in Vegas or something like that. But he's doing it because he loves it. You know.
That's beautiful.
So yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier that in 2019 you were inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. What was that? What was that call like when you got that?
It was great. I was kind of hoping, and finally he called me and said, "We want to induct you," and gave me the date at the Rock and Bowl, and it was a huge night. Yeah, we packed the place out. I had classmates from the seminary in Cincinnati that were there.
Wow.
A lot of cousins, a lot of friends, a lot of fans. It was a great night. Yeah.
I imagine seeing your name next to some of these great artists that we've come to know and love here in Louisiana. It's got to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
To call them your contemporaries has got to feel really cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm going to be at the Rock and Bowl again. In fact, we should get a date. It's going to be in August. It's going to be a Sunday. My 50th career anniversary celebration is coming up.
Awesome.
So
great plug.
So yeah, and we shot a music video.
Okay.
Last year. And it was just finished editing it in April, and it's going to be released in conjunction with the anniversary.
That's awesome.
Celebration.
So sometime in August, date to be determined?
Yeah, it's going to be the 9th, the 17th, the 24th. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, one of the Sundays, though, in August.
It's going to be. It's going to come out. We should find that out today.
So go check out Gregg Martinez, not only at the Blue Monday Jam on June 9th, but some Sunday in August over at the Great Rock and Bowl. Gregg, getting close to kind of wrapping up here.
Good. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah. As well, speaking of hungry, here in Lafayette, do you have your stomping grounds? Do you have like a go-to? Is it maybe a plate lunch place?
I pretty much grew up at Pizza Village on Mall Street. My friend Flash was the manager from starting at like 15 years old, and golly, we used to just live over there. The Landry Special. I must have had 1 million of those Landry Specials, and we would. When the bars started closing, when the Mothers Against Drunk Driving came through Lafayette and they campaigned and they shut the bars down at 2:00, I was furious. I went to the city council meeting, and I said,
"You can't take this away from me."
Yeah, I said they got people. You have mothers that are moonlighting as waitresses and stuff, and they got kids and they're in college during the day, and I was all this BS. And anyway, they shut them down. And about 2 months later, I was like, man, I feel better. I'm glad they closed them down. I feel better, Well, anyway, but Flash would open up Pizza Village. You want to go to, we'd go drink beer till the cleaning crew came in. And he'd make a pizza. He'd put so much stuff on there, man, you could barely cut it, And anyway, so yeah, Pizza Village was my stomping grounds.
You're the second Acadiana musician that I know who has advocated to the city council or local government on behalf of the musician lifestyle. For you, it was wanting to drink after 2 a.m. Yeah. For Roddy Romero, it was wanting to get kids playing in music venues at the age of 18.
They call it the Roddy Romero law.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. So I know you travel a bunch, and so maybe this could be more or less applicable to you, but I've been asking all my guests to fill out their go bag, spelled the way you think go would be spelled in South Louisiana. But it's 3 items that you would put in a go bag. You got to leave town right now that would remind you of home. What would those 3 items be?
Oh man, why you got to put me under pressure?
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a real physical item that you can stick in a bag, but 3 things that in a perfect world, if you had to leave Louisiana now, but what would those 3 things remind you of home?
Well, it would have to be something I can't get anywhere else.
Right.
You can buy Tony Sashers anywhere now.
Mm-hmm. Tabasco too.
Yeah.
I was just in Ireland. They had Tabasco at basically every table.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be that. It would be. I've thought about what if my house catches on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I live in an old house. I love old houses, and my house is kind of new compared to some of them I've had. This house was built in 1919, so it's more modern. So I said, well, what if my house catches on fire? What would I grab? I would grab some pictures of old pictures, mom and dad and stuff. I would grab that trumpet because it can't be replaced. Gigi's trumpet. And what else? I always say that trumpet. I always. I'm not sure what else. Some stuff too big. I can't carry that baby grand piano.
Get a trailer.
Yeah, I'll probably get my guitar, that trumpet, and I'm not sure what else.
Yeah, a photograph or
and some pictures. Yeah.
Okay.
I got them out. They're in the video
There you go.
that we shot. That's going to be released. So I grabbed some of those.
Well, I hope you didn't forget anything. Now, speaking of that, do you have any horror stories of maybe, I'm sure you righted these wrongs as you progressed and became more professional, but early on in your career, was there a oh no moment when you forgot something for a gig?
No, I don't think so.
Because I have
been doing it so long, I don't remember.
I have one. I had a gig on a Saturday night and then an early morning gig at a casino in Lake Charles. That night, on Saturday, I popped a string on my guitar and didn't have any extras. So I thought, oh, it's going to be all right. In the morning, I'll drive to Lake Charles early and go find a local music store or something, get some strings. Couldn't find any. So I had to just power through this gig with one string.
Oh.
And then about 45 minutes into the gig, another one popped. And I basically just had
All of a sudden, you got a ukulele.
Yeah. I had to go up to the manager and said, man, I'm sorry. Like, I can't play. Like,
You didn't have a backup singer?
No, didn't have anything. And did not get paid for that, nor was I asked to come back. So that was a big learning lesson for me. To this day, I'd never play with unless I have an extra pair of strings.
I know my dad died when I was 19. I was kind of just getting started. And he told me, he said, I don't mind you being a singer, but always be a clean singer. Never get raunchy, don't curse on stage and thing. And that stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to be professional, even in my wild days. I try to be professional.
Yeah, if I'm playing a gig and let's say it's a 6 to 9 gig, and there's a song that I'm playing that maybe has the F word or something,
Yeah.
and I see a kid in the audience, I'm gonna say messed up instead.
Right. Well, my son is probably your age, and I had to pass that along to him because he wanted to play this Jack Black song. You probably
Tenacious D.
Yeah, y'all probably know it. And I said, please. And sometimes he'd play the intro because some young people in the audience, their friends of his, knew it, and I'd give him the evil eye. And,
not here, dude.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's great, man. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm excited to see you perform at Blue Monday coming up June 9th. You've had a great career. I can't wait to see the music video, and I would love to go to the 50th anniversary at Rock and Roll.
Man. Yeah.
That sounds like a fun time. Is there anything, any sort of parting advice that you can give folks, maybe younger artists or people who are coming up in this Acadiana music scene or South Louisiana in general?
I would say, like I said, work hard. Take it serious, but not too serious. But don't give up. You're going to have to learn to take rejection. You're going to have to learn. It's like a salesman that's a car salesman. You're not going to sell every car to every customer that walks on the lot. You have to learn to take rejection, and you're not going to get every gig you try for. And but stay with it. Just stay with it. Believe in yourself.
Be comfortable with no.
Yeah, but believe in yourself. Don't let the no discourage you. Heck, Michael Jordan. I heard failure was his biggest motivation. He didn't make the varsity team his freshman or sophomore year in high school, and look what he did. The failure motivated.
Yeah, he was such a psychopath that like he would make up slights against him that other players didn't even say. To motivate him to go kick their ass.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Greg, it was a pleasure talking to you. We end the episode the same for all of our guests. You can take a look at your single camera right here. It could be a word, a phrase, a song lyric, more advice, a plug, anything that you want to impart on the audience and internet land at large to end the episode. The floor is yours.
All right. When my life is over, remember when we were together. We were alone and I was singing this song to you.
Hey guys, it's Carter. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode of Acadiana Cast Presents, the flagship show of Acadiana Casts, a full-service content production company based right here in South Louisiana. If you'd like to get involved in podcasts, or maybe your business needs some help creating some social media reels, maybe you already have a podcast or developing content and you just can't get over that hump, reach out to us by going to acadianacast.com, find our full list of services, and find out how we can help get your voice heard today. That's acadianacast.com. And if you like the show, please like, comment, subscribe wherever you're checking the show out. We'd love to hear from you. Give us some love. And if you're watching on KLFY Plus, be sure to check out some of our older content and check out some of the other content, the great content that they have for you right here on KLFY Plus. Reach out to us on social media, follow us, share our videos, let us know who you'd like to see on the show next. And don't forget to be kind and have fun. See you next time.